That tent says waterproof. That sleeping bag says 20 degrees. That cooler promises 5 days of ice. Here's the part nobody tells you. Most of those numbers are marketing, not measurements, cooked up in a lab under perfect conditions or just invented. A gear spec is only as honest as the test behind it. A few have a real standard and an independent lab, so they mean something. Most are marketing, measured on brand new gear in a perfect lab, cherry-picked or backed by no standard at all. So here are 5 outdoor gear specs that are complete lies. Worst to first, then 3 numbers you can actually trust, plus 4 questions that call out a fake spec in seconds. The number 1 lie leaves you shivering in your tent at 2 a.m., and the number 1 truth is that exact same spec read right. In 5th place, those shiny coolers boasting 10 days of ice retention are selling you a laboratory fantasy. To get that number, technicians pre-chill the plastic, pack it completely solid with block ice, seal the lid, and leave it unopened in a temperature-controlled room. I do not know about you, but my campsite is not a climate lab, and I actually like opening my cooler. Real-world use, with warm drinks and hot sun, destroys these specs. That reality landed Coleman in a class-action lawsuit over their exaggerated marketing. Warm beer will not kill you, but the next spec is not even measured the same way twice. In 4th place, backpack liters are a complete roll of the dice. You buy a 65-liter pack expecting it to match another 65-liter pack. But there is no universally enforced industry standard behind that label. One brand measures only the main compartment using tiny plastic spheres. Another brand includes the lid and the outer stretch mesh in their calculation. This means one company's 65-liter pack can easily outpack a competitor's 75. I've seen these volume discrepancies ruin packing plans at the trailhead because the number behaves like a guess with a metric unit attached. Instead of comparing real capacity, you're just comparing different marketing departments. And if you think volume is confusing, wait until you look at the number brands use as a fake proxy for fabric toughness. 3rd on our list, Denier is a classic shopping shortcut that sounds tougher than it is. You see 600 Denier on a cheap pack and 70 Denier on a premium tent, naturally assuming the bigger number means a bulletproof build. But Denier only measures yarn weight, specifically the weight in grams of 9,000 meters of the fiber. It tells you nothing about fabric strength. A poorly woven 600 Denier polyester can tear far easier than a high-tenacity 200 Denier nylon, because real durability is driven by fiber chemistry, weave density, and technical coatings. Brands lean on heavy Denier figures to imply ruggedness while skipping those expensive details. This exposes the real pattern behind these first 3 lies. We are being sold numbers that mimic quality while measuring something else entirely. But those are nothing compared to the next 2 fabric deceptions. In 2nd place, that waterproof millimeter rating on your expensive shell is a snapshot of a moment that will never happen again. You see 10,000 millimeters or 20,000 millimeters and think you are buying a stormproof shield. But that number is just hydrostatic head, a lab test where technicians clamp a pristine, brand new fabric swatch under a column of water and measure the pressure before it leaks. A finished jacket has structural seams and thousands of needle holes that the fabric test completely ignores, so water leaks through the stitching anyway. Plus, protective coatings degrade from the salt in your sweat and the friction of your pack straps, meaning your real-world rating drops immediately. Because different regional labs use conflicting pressure standards, comparing these numbers across brands is often a waste of time. We rely on this spec for actual survival in a downpour, which makes it far more dangerous than a misleading backpack size. But even this fabric fantasy cannot compete with the most expensive, widespread lie of all. And finally, in 1st place, the 20-degree sleeping bag rating is a masterclass in marketing deception. You buy a bag with a giant 20 stamped on the stuff sack, assuming you will sleep warmly down to 20 degrees. You will not. Under the voluntary ISO 23537 testing standard, sleeping bag warmth is split into comfort, limit, and extreme zones. To get these numbers, technicians dress a heated mannequin in long underwear, put it inside the bag on a foam pad, and lower the chamber temperature. Comfort measures where an average woman sleeps warmly. Limit is where an average man curls up and barely gets by for 8 hours without shivering. Extreme is just a survival rating to prevent hypothermia. Here is the trick. Brands usually print the limit figure in giant font on the tag because a lower temperature makes their product look superior to competitors. In the United States, this testing is not even legally required, meaning that 20 on your tag might be a completely uncertified guess. I have seen too many hikers shivering at 2 in the morning because they trusted the bold headline on the box instead of reading the fine print. This is the most expensive, frustrating mistake you can make on the trail, and it directly compromises your safety. But this exact same temperature spec, when you learn to read the official data correctly, transforms from a dangerous marketing trap into the single most valuable number in your entire kit. Number 3, Fill Power starts our list of numbers you can actually trust, provided you read it for what it actually measures. The lab test is dead simple. Technicians take exactly 1 ounce of conditioned down, pour it into a standardized vertical cylinder, and drop a weighted piston on top. The volume that single ounce can support under the weight is measured in cubic inches, and 800 fill power down lofts to 800 cubic inches, showing the down is incredibly high quality. But here is the catch. Fill power only measures quality, not quantity. You still need fill weight, the physical ounces of down stuffed inside, to know if a jacket will keep you warm. So while it is an honest spec that holds up in the lab, it is only half the equation. In second place, the ASTM F3340 standard for sleeping pad R values shows how a spec gets useful when brands stop grading their own homework. Before 2020, comparing pad warmth was useless because companies cooked up their own internal tests. Now this standardized method sandwiches the pad between a hot plate mimicking your body and a cold plate simulating the ground to measure steady-state heat loss. Because everyone plays by these exact rules, a 4.5 rating means the same thing across all brands. I use 4.5 as my benchmark for cold ground, and you can actually trust that number at the register. It proves that real standards make numbers directly comparable, but even a warm pad won't save you if you pair it with the wrong version of our final, most trustworthy spec. And finally, in first place, the EN or ISO 23537 comfort rating brings us right back to our biggest lie, but with a massive twist. When a bag goes through third-party lab certification, technicians put a heated mannequin on a standardized foam pad in a freezing chamber. They do not guess. The resulting comfort rating is the temperature where an average sleeper stays warm without shivering. This is the single most reliable metric in your pack because it enforces identical, independent lab testing across every certified brand. The temperature spec only lied earlier because you were reading the wrong number, pushed by marketing departments who flashed the limit rating in bold print. If you ignore the massive numbers on the stuff sack and find the certified comfort line on the product tag, you get a reliable buying tool. What specs have burned you on the trail? Let me know in the comments. Next, we are looking at how stove boil times are heavily rigged. This channel follows the specs, not the sponsors. Subscribe to keep your gear honest. Across these specs, the pattern is clear. Your gear is only as honest as the standardized test behind it. Stop buying the marketing department's fantasy. Which spec has burned you the most? Next, we are exposing ultra-light tents. This channel follows the specs, not the sponsors. Subscribe.